Hello, welcome here at the Slovak University of Technology, Faculty of Architecture and Design. We are a group of organizers, a group of people who really care about climate, about the problems which climate change is bringing to us. And this year we got together under kind of label, I would say, Year of Climate Care, Rok pre klímu. We will see what will happen next. At the end of the year, we will have a big gathering where we should discuss it, but already now we have a lot of contacts. We manage somehow to get together with a lot of other initiatives who are interested in dealing with climate crisis. But maybe you notice that we chose the name Climate Care, which maybe sounds a bit more positive, that we wanted to show that maybe people can be already very scared and it can be paralyzing by listening to climate change, climate crisis. So this concept of care is something what we would like to present and what we would like to somehow develop. So in Slovak, Rok pre klímu, because we still think that this word starostlivosť or ochrana maybe is not so strong. It will happen soon, I hope. So if we say Rok starostlivosti o klímu, it will sound the same cool as Year of Climate Care. So maybe I can ask Peter to show partners of the project, because it's really important to realize how various partners are interested in this cause, I could say. So it was initiated by Goethe Institute and French Institute, and we welcome here also people from both institutes. Thank you for coming. And as you can see, we really managed to get together people from academia. We have a partner from Vienna, some independent culture, as it was called until now, but it's like creative centers, like Antenna, which is a network of these centers, and Nova Cvernovka, which is a very strong partner in it. Manifest 2020, of course, it's also a partner of a project New European Bauhaus, Slovak Chamber of Architects, Slovak Design Center as professional organizers, Punkt, which probably many people from Bratislava know as organizers of Dobrý trh. And yes, Nasuti Festival. Nasuti Festival, it will be also a platform in November for big part of our program. So this is maybe short introduction about who we are and what we just organized now. Climate Care Academy, it was a 3 days program, 3 afternoons was happening here in this space, and we had professionals from architecture. It's always idea to connect people from different backgrounds. So we have here people from public sectors, from humanitarian organizations, architects, designers. So it's really the point to get together people from creative fields and other fields to analyze and to find some solutions for a problem. And this time we chose something really pressing. What I personally, I didn't realize it until the crisis after war in Ukraine, that migration and like problems with living, problems with housing is the right word in English, can be so pressing, and that we have a lot of communities which needs some kind of support in this problem also here. So we got together architects, humanitarians, people from public sector to speak about how to deal with something what will really press in the next years. It's migration, either it's called by climate crisis or it's called by some conflicts and so on. So we tried to find solutions. We will not present today results. We still take some time to create a report. We had people from Spolka, which is organization of sociologists and architects, people who are really good in facilitating similar gatherings. So we will have a report which we will make public. But for today we prepared special presentations by guests from other countries. And I would like to call Ljubica here on the stage because she will present our speakers. Please come here. And also, yes, the last thing I should say, it's always from organizers whom you saw. We are like smaller groups of partners who are working on a particular event. So here Slovak Chamber of Architects, Slovak Design Center, Nová Cvernovka, and Manifest 2020, which Ljubica represents in collaboration with Institute for Passive Houses. And of course, here academia partner, Slovak University of Technology. So please, all the time, you can ask questions. Here is hashtag YCC 2022. Also for people who are watching us online, you can ask anytime on Slido questions, and after each speaker and at the end, we will check also these questions. So Ljubica, please, you have stage.
Sorry. Okay, so, well, I've got a very nice role today. I will introduce this evening speakers, and the first speaker is Cedric Fetouche. Cedric is a designer currently working for EU Commission, and today he will introduce the new European Bauhaus, the main values, and what have been created since the initiative started. So he will make us kind of intro to other presentations. Cedric, the floor is yours, please.
So you have a live... Is it okay, the sound? Yeah. So hello everyone, very nice to see you all here. So I was there for the last 3 days of the workshop, and so now we talked about emergency architecture, but today I will talk about the new European Bauhaus, which is where I'm working. And I know it may sound a bit abstract, maybe for some of you, if you never really heard about the European Commission work. So maybe I will just give a few words on this long title over there. So I work for the new European Bauhaus unit. It's a team of 15, 20 people, more or less. And this new European Bauhaus unit is inside the Joint Research Center, which is a directorate within the European Commission. You can understand the directorate as a sort of ministry from the government, if that makes a bit more sense for you. Never said that to politicians, but it helped to visualize. And so, I work for the European Commission, which is more an administration. So it's not politicians, it's more like civil servants, people working in administration, trying to either create regulations or policies, or then give the finance through Erasmus programs and Creative Europe and all of those programs. So it's Joint Research Center is a place full of researchers, and we are based in Brussels, in Sevilla, Spain, in Ispra in Italy, Ghent, and so that for me personally, I'm based in Brussels, and our unit is based in Brussels. So just to give a bit of a framework, maybe that helps you to also get into that topic. So how did we start the New European Bauhaus? It started in September 2020. It's an initiative launched by the the President of the European Commission, Mrs. von der Leyen. And basically it was announced as a way to bridge the gap between the European citizen and the European Commission strategy. The main strategy of the European Commission is climate change, is the Green Deal. And so it's true that as a citizen, personally as a citizen, last year when I was not yet working for the European Commission, for me it was something very far away, the Green Deal. We believe it's something for the industries, for the companies, for all these things that is far away from us. And so the idea of the European Bauhaus is to connect the citizen, to try to be more involved in climate change, in those topics, and yeah, to connect. So it's more like a movement that is made to be transdisciplinary and creative. And so it's mainly dedicated for creative people, designers, architects, on the sector of culture, of art. And so the idea is to make it a bottom-up movement. So what does it mean? The idea is that if we want to create an initiative that is for the European citizen, but with the vocabulary of the European Commission, then it's going to be another report that nobody reads. So instead of doing that and being on the website of the Commission, we need to create the initiative from and by the citizen. So the first 6 months we had this co-design phase where we launched different calls online for all the citizens and all the associations. The idea was to collect a lot of feedback, a lot of insights, input on the topic of the European Bauhaus. So from those first 6 months, we made a communication document that more or less stated the baseline of what the European Bauhaus is, and that's I'm going to present. So the European Bauhaus is based on 3 values: beautiful, sustainable, and together. Those 3 values are always working together. That means they cannot be just beautiful and sustainable. They cannot be just sustainable and together in a way of inclusion. The 3 of them must work together. And so we realized that when we give this framework to the people, we start to give them some tools to have a more systemic approach to their project, a more complete approach to their project. If we were just saying, okay, do a project on sustainability and beautiful, they may miss the people, they may forget the people, and we've seen during the last 3 days how important it is to work with the people and not just for the people. So beautiful is also to be understood as a beautiful experience. It's not just beautiful as aesthetics, as we could understand it, it's also the experience, and that's more about the methods of the creatives that we have. On this communication document, there were also other points that you can have a look on the PDF, but it says, okay, it's also a multi-level from global to local, it's participatory, it's transdisciplinary, and there is one point on the thematic axis that I especially enjoy, which is prioritizing the places and people that need it the most. So we did emphasize through the feedback that we collected that we must focus on the people that need it the most. And that's also why the last 3 days were very important, talking about emergency architecture, trying to find solutions for all the people there. So I think that's the basic framework about the European Bauhaus. What could I add on that? I could add that the main difference compared to, for example, the SDGs from the United Nations is that the SDGs is very scientific based, so you have 17 goals, and each one of those goals have metrics to achieve in order to be sustainable and before 2030. On our approach, it's a more experimental in a way that it's more targeted for creatives, because those 3 values, we understand that those 3 values can be understood differently based on the community you're from, on the country, on the sector you're from. If you ask what is sustainability for someone working in the architecture field or in the engineer field, or someone based in Spain or someone based in Slovakia, they will all have different definitions. And so we understand this from this bottom-up approach. We understand this diversity of understanding. And so we are not here as a top-down European Commission saying you, this is the definition. We are more letting it open for all the citizens to interpret it and to come up with projects and ideas that are meaningful for the new European Bauhaus. So I will present to you the community of the new European Bauhaus, and after that I will present to you the activities that we have launched so far. So as I mentioned, it's a bottom-up approach. That means we try to grasp a lot of knowledge. And so for that, we have a community because we are only 15, 20 employees, so it's impossible to reach out to 450 million European citizens. And that's something I've learned when I joined. It's like, okay, we need to do that. Okay, we are only 15, we cannot do that. So for that, we have a community, and the main community are the partners. The partners, we have more than 500 at the moment. They are coming from different countries of the EU, the European Union. They are coming also from different sectors, more than 20 sectors. Maybe I have a slide, yes. So research, education, but also energy, environment, inclusion, health, social economy, etc., fashion. So those 500 partners, which are non-profit organizations and universities, we are meeting with them every other week in order to shape this initiative. So we continue on a weekly basis to talk with them, to discuss, and to see on which direction we should go. And so the other part of the community are the members of the high-level roundtable. So we have today Hubert Tremor and Marissa. We have the partners, so we actually also have partners in this room, so Manifest 2020, the Slovak Design Center, and Polska, who was here for the last 3 days. And then we have also national contact points for every EU member state. We have also what we call friends, which are basically partners, but they are businesses and for-profit organizations. And then we have, of course, also all the winners of the prize. So I will show you the activity. We have a prize for the new European Bauhaus. So all the winners of those prizes, or all the winners of the funding that we are having as well, are also integrating this community. And so this community is in charge of guiding us for this initiative, but also spreading awareness to their own communities. And so that's how we try to bridge the gap. There is the Neb Lab in the middle. It's an activity, so I will briefly talk about it after that. And so for the activities, I think I've said everything about the community. So for the activities, how can we present those activities? The way I present it is that an activity has a purpose, of course, and this purpose is either a bottom-up approach, so to try to learn from the EU citizen, or a top-down approach, which is more to spread learnings or to spread awareness to the citizen. And so the New European Bauhaus Prize, which started last year, we had the second edition in June, was a way for the European Commission to learn all the good practices and the case studies from across the European Union. So 2 years ago, we had 2,000 applications, and actually after the award, we analyzed all the projects, all the applications to try to learn. So basically the prize is a message saying, okay, you are a project that cares about beautiful, sustainable together, send your application, and then you may win. And so for us, we took all the 2,000 applications we tried to learn from, and then in the future, we will create a report that will also guide new projects on this matter. So for this year application, we had 1,000 applications, 52 finalists, and if I'm correct, I think it was 18 winners. And so this picture was taken during the festival. So that was the festival that happened in June, mainly based in Brussels. The biggest event was in Brussels for the first edition. And so this festival for me is more like a top-down. So in a way that we have learned so much content the last year that we had also a moment to spread the awareness. So we had the fair, we had a forum, we had a fest, and we had more than 50 speakers sharing their learnings, their experience about those 3 values. So it was a great moment, and also during this festival that was happening in Brussels, this festival was also happening all across the EU. So we had about 200 side events, and so that was a good message for us, because with 15 employees, we cannot follow up all the activities across the EU. So it was a good message to receive that 200 organizations prepared side events across the EU. And among those 200, I think 1/3 were partners. So it was also a good message that the partners were also quite involved in the process. Then we have, of course, funding opportunities. And so the main one being the Lighthouse demonstrators that has been awarded already, but we will need, of course, to wait a few years before to see the first results of the winner. But it's true that, of course, we have the European Commission is in charge of giving the finances, and so there are a lot of different funding opportunities that are embodying the new European Bauhaus values. So it's true that it's something, the new European Bauhaus is going to become something that can become an added value for your projects if you want to apply for funding opportunities in the European Commission. And so you can have a look on the website for all the ongoing opportunities. I'm a designer by profession, so I'm not an expert in funding. So that's all I will say about it. And so yes, the Neb Lab is the last activity that we are having so far. It's a new activity. It was launched in April. And it's a way to experiment projects that have those 3 values. So every Neb Lab activity is initiated by at least 3 partners from our community. So it's something that starts internally. And those 3 partners gathered, minimum 3 partners, they gather and they say, okay, we would like to experiment on a specific topic, and we will try to implement the values and the way of thinking of the new European Bauhaus, and we will develop some learning, some experimentation, and we will see where it goes. And so those Neb Lab activities should be grounded in a region, so you have a place to experiment with locals. You develop some learnings that may influence EU policies, and you also develop potentially a project that is replicable, so for other partners. And so basically it's just started, so I don't have case study to share to you. But it's a place of experimentation, and we hope to see a lot of input and insight that will then become good case study to share to everyone. So there are ongoing Neb Lab activities. I won't present all of them, but basically they are community-led activity and commission-led activity. So you see the 5 on the left are commission-led, and they are much more specific. So philanthropy, crowdfunding, and labeling strategy. It's quite specific. But then on the 3 on the right are actually community-led Neb Lab activities. And to give an example, Neb Goes South is basically a gathering of architecture schools that are in Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Croatia, and Greece. And they, through the meetings we had, they realized that they may have similar climate change challenges, and they may have similar culture, Mediterranean culture. So in a way, they could collaborate to share good practices on the academia, how to teach to students, and how to create projects that are meaningful for the students and meaningful for the region. So they decided to gather and to create a Neb Lab activity, and so it's quite independent. They work on their own, and we provide support if needed, but that's to give you an example of a Neb Lab activity. And so that is actually one of the last slides, but it's just to introduce also the next speaker. That will be Hubert Tremor, and that will present also the work we have been doing related to the war in Ukraine. So the community is quite, has a voice. So when we met, and Hubert also presented it earlier, the community came back to the European Commission and the European Bauhaus unit and said, okay, we need to be active on the topic of Ukraine. So from one day to another, they decided to get active on their own, and that's what will be also presented just after. So I won't talk too much about it. And so I think that's it that I have to say. So thank you very much for your time. There is a website, there is a newsletter, Instagram, Twitter. And of course, if you have questions, I don't know if we have time now, it will be after. If you have questions, I'm always here.
So,
and I didn't say, but if you are an organization, a municipality, or a group, and you want to join, you just go on the website and you apply, and you can become a partner too.
thank you very much, Cedric. We have seen that a lot of work has been done already, and we can enjoy next plans and events prepared by New European Bauhaus community. And do not hesitate, send questions to Slido, hashtag YCC 2022. So another speaker is Hubert Tremor. Hubert is an architect, architectural critic, teacher since 2020, the main specialist in external projects and exhibitions department at the National Institute of Architecture and Urban Planning in Poland. He has been the nominated expert for the European Union Prize for Contemporary Architecture, Mies van der Rohe Award, several times. He is the member of the jury at numerous architectural competitions. Hubert Tremor will present the experiences with emergency architecture, answering to the situation after the escalation of the Russian war against Ukraine. The presentation will mostly cover the Polish and Ukrainian response to Shigeru call for using paper partition system invented by his team. So, Hubert, are you prepared?
I think yes, it's okay.
Great.
Okay, so we are waiting for, maybe I will stand here so to better see both you and the presentation. So thank you very much for inviting me. And so I did not have an idea for good short title, so I have quite longer one, and I'm here because I get to know Maria Benaczkova-Ryszkova from the high-level roundtable of the European Bauhaus, and in fact he was. I will tell you in a few minutes that he was one of the most important inspirations for that. She was what I will tell about you, and also Cedric has told about these three main values of the European Bauhaus. And after Ursula von der Leyen has visited President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv during the war, the next day in the evening speech he has to the nation, he told that the reconstruction of the Ukraine after war, which will base on the principle of beauty, sustainability, and inclusiveness. So I think that that is important. That when you promote some values, it is also important to take important things for the nations. I would say that in Poland the very far development of neoliberalism is because Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan were the politicians who supported the most Polish fight against the communism. So then support of Ursula von der Leyen, I think, gives the opportunity for realizing the ideas of European Bauhaus in the Ukraine, and she traveled to Ukraine as the other politicians via the station in Przemyśl, where is the main junction from Ukrainian railways to Polish railways, and also other junctions which serve was Chełm. You see here is the photo of the refugee train made from the pedestrian bridge. I will say a bit more about Chełm. And here, as I told, that Maria Benaczkowa-Ryszkowa was one of the inspirations. So at 28th of February 2022, so 4 days after start of this big invasion, she has written an email to the high-level roundtable people and the team from European Commissions that we should be active. Then after some response of some people, what they think could be done, and Xavier, Xavier Trousseau, who was leading the European Bauhaus unit, has proposed to make a brainstorm. I responded. Here is also the discussion about the times, and I also said about the initiative made in National Institute for Architecture and Urban Planning in Poland for organizing the working opportunity for the architects from the Ukraine, and also some details on it. And then Shigeru Ban, who is also the Japanese architect, who is also in this high-level round table. So these also are the part of print screens from my mailbox, and he has written that it is that he proposed to introduce his paper partition system, which he has used after the earthquake and tsunami in Japan and earthquake in Italy. And then there were so Maria and me has responded. So here you see Lubica Simkowiczowa, who has introduced me. She arranged the team which implemented paper partition system in Slovakia, in Bratislava and Košice. And I contacted Jerzy Łądka, who was on postgraduate studies by Shigeru Ban in Japan, and he's also developing the paper architecture. He started to arrange for the merits and for the producers of paper, and I was searching for the places to introduce. So I was calling to the committees and the borders, and I find fit in good moment in the city of Chełm, where is, as I told, one of the cities where the refugees trains were coming. And this city has become a kind of humanitarian hub. They have recently completed the business center, and they delayed the call for tenants and made their place for segregation of the humanitarian help, because when this escalation of the war started, from all around the world, many people were sending help, and in many extent, people started to send it. And when the truck was already on the road, they were searching for the place where it can go. And City of Chełm arranged the logistics center for those who will not find the people who want their help, to reload it and to segregate it and send it further to the Ukraine or the places where refugees needed in Poland. And they also arranged one of the reception centers, and it was, so they already had one in the sport hall, and another one, similarly to Przemyśl, they arranged in the not used former big shop supermarket Tesco, which is a British firm which went out of Poland after Brexit. I don't know if it's coincidence or there is what was the reason, but it was said that thanks to Brexit we have had that infrastructure which could serve, and they wanted to create something which has a big quality, and it was prepared within 2 weeks. They wanted to make it in 5 days, but in fact it took 2 weeks to prepare the place, and we fit into their ambition to create the place which provides better standards than other reception center. Here on the photo, you see the first group from the border 20 kilometers away. They came the bus, and here you see, for example, this woman has shown me on her smartphone the photo of her house in Kharkiv, where she survived bombing in her bathroom, and on the photo, all house was in ruin. Only there were towers of staircases and bathrooms by there, and there's a registration of refugees. And here you see the paper partition system with the cartines from the donations. So I have written on Facebook who can donate, and so there are different colors. I also called some people I heard, and so in the beginning it was very interesting that create different, and we also tried to make that different color for doors and different colors for partitions. And then in this center there was also the place for children. I would say that in many reception center it is such, but there were also many bathrooms, so it was good. And here you see there is Shigeru Ban, the initiator, who came to visit us during the end of completion with 2 refugee twins brothers and three volunteers. And there is a group. The only person in COVID mask is the mayor of the city of Chełm, who arranged it. He's the youngest mayor in Poland. When he was elected, he was 27. And here is a group of different people. So there are students, there are local inhabitants of Chełm, but there is also a group of people. Here's Shigeru Ban, here's Jerzy Łądka, he's from a student. And those people is a group of people from Sweden who is just coming around the world in the case of crisis, and they came to help us. And the mayor of Chełm has told that Isaac Bashevis-Singer, the Nobel Prize winner, a Jewish writer born in Poland, has written that all the world is one big Chełm. And in those days, I have the experience that Chełm was small whole world. And this is the 23 years old student of architecture who coordinated preparation of the layout of this whole area. She's standing in the area which we called marketplace in the center. So here you can see it in the middle. It was supposed that here stand chairs which serve. So here is the place of registration. Then the 318 cabins, here washing basins, here the washing machines, the showers, and here was supposed to be the chairs for people who quickly go to next place, but these chairs disappeared quickly because in the cabin were only beds, so people needed it, and it worked more like place of like a meeting place and place giving orientation, and to make the connections, the columns have to be bored to put beams inside, and we did it on a place. So it is the method invented by Shigeru Ban architects. So kind of template where you put holes in screwer and then make bigger holes, and we prepared it to arrange it on site, but also to send it to Ukraine. This is one of the Swedish group, the helicopter pilot who has 1 month's duty and 1 month's free, and within the month he came with his friends. And at the beginning I have shown you the colorful cartons from donations, but just 2 days after opening, the chief fire officer of Poland has seen it in the television and asked local chief officer if this curtain has certificate, and they did not have, and then city of Chełm has to buy fireproof curtain, and immediately it was possible to buy only white ones. So then all of them were white, and here you see that with the white ones. And we have also built it on the railway station in Wrocław. It was the two first places which I have just shown. And as I told you, it was sent to Ukraine when it was implemented at no less than 16 places, 12 in Lviv. It is the whole of Veterinary Institute in Lviv, and 2 in Umań and 2 in Czerwonogród. They use the pallets for beds, and also they left bit openings for ventilation. And here you see those curtains uncertified, which have to be hanged out from home. We sent to the Ukraine, so it is, I think, quite often that West sound is something of which is not approved by them. And here is also the other example, and also the place where there was refugee centers for people with failed kidneys. It is before and after installation of the paper partition system. And they have also, there are 3 Ukrainian group architectural offices involved, and they have prepared the brochure. There are print screens. I showed you a few of the print screens of few pages from the brochure, how it can be connected, how it works, the examples. And what is interesting that there is no logo of Shigeru Ban Architects, but Shigeru Ban has seen this presentation and did not criticize it. And here you see also other alternative proposition of partitions, and also prototype of word paper bed. Shigeru Ban also prepared some prototypes, but other design, and also solution, for example, for wayfinding. And we in Poland has also made some improvement. That, for example, original Japanese solution is to connect the curtains by safety pins, and we, together with the firm which was helping us at the beginning, we have proposed to make it connected by snaps. It is then logistically easier that we do not have sent little boxes of safety pins, and here are the tries. And also other firms offered us the proposal of screwing that instead of made in each column, we have to have 4 holes. And in original Japanese method, we have make 8 moves to have 4 holes marking, and then and here, when they prepared us the template, here you put it, and you can only go down once for the 2 holes. Then we turn it 90 degrees. You put it, and then prepare the next 2 holes. So here you see this preparation in the improvement method, and here is interesting. This man, he was a migrant from Iran to Ukraine, and after war came, she moved from Iran, and now is waiting for the permission to move to Canada. And while I get to know him in one of refugee center when paper partition system was installed, and he proposed that he can help, and he was going to this firm and made the holes in some hundreds of columns. And here is on the photo, which is the Armenian employee of this firm, so they were talking Russian together. And here is the implementation in Słupsk or Starogard Gdański, because I was not. It is in Starogard Gdański, so we made it in 2 halls. And there is school near Yarosław by Ukrainian border, where is more permanent refugee place for mother with children. And then it is former school, so in the classroom is few families, and it was so that it has to be not clear modules, but somehow combine how to fit it between the beds, especially that when in one room I started to move the beds, the woman told that, so we do not know it. So it was also important that their beds were only stable things. So then it had to be cut, because then the pipe. And I asked if you have somebody who could cut it, and then this guy came and did it, and here you see before inside the curtain, and here is the small classroom when there was only family, so we did not plan to do it, but this woman came to me and asked that they want to feel a bit like home. You see, they put the blanket on the floor, so they wanted to divide the place where they eat from the rest of the room, and they requested for the one module which we installed there. And here, by the way, the photo from the place, how they transformed the toilet into the douche, so into the shower. You see here that here was originally the WC, and it was removed. Here is holes after screws, and then canalization, and then here one washing basin removed, then heater, and then a hole in the wall to prepare it. And after 3 months, the refugee reception point in Helm has not worked anymore because there was no more refugee flow. So they say that we should take back our pipes. So I arranged the transport and organized the storage by the storage of the Museum of Contemporary Art. And those come, here you see the storage, and those, there are some which came back from Helm and some which we screwed in this firm I shown you. And here you see the pipe came from Helm to Warsaw with this, I have forgotten the name again, and here is the transport sent to other place from which they plan to send it to Ukraine, but now it stopped because there is also a bit less refugees and also some logistical problems. And in this magazine, I found between the things there was some kind of wooden elements with quotation from famous people, and very passing to the situation was quotation from Václav Havel. Hope is not the certainty that something goes good, but the certainty that something had a sense independent of that if it goes good or not. And this kind of game, or I don't know, of elements were prepared by Goethe Institute. And when I came here, I got to know information that Goethe Institute is financing my stay here. So good, interesting coincidence. And I have got also the proposal from the people who are arranging the exhibition for the architecture plan to be built in Warsaw, if they can make if they can prepare for us the elements which we will then later use for refugees. And I said that we have quite a lot of tubes. In fact, some of them, these beams came back from Helm, and they wanted to prepare the fabric for curtains, but it was not good for printing. And since we are not enough organized good to use it all, so probably it will be used for more exhibitions. So maybe it is not for refugee, but for climate care, it can be an attempt to use something, not to give it to garbage. And the other examples, there are architects who, together with the initiative Otwieramy Szkołę, which means we open the school, has adapted the floor in one of the office buildings for the school with the Ukrainian curriculum. They also engage artists, and the volunteers has prepared the school. The school started to work at the beginning of May, so a bit more than 2 months after the idea to have it. And here you see the chief of the initiative. She is the chief of the NGO, and she also cooperates in some program of our education in European Bauhaus. They together with architects, also with own hands, are preparing the school. So these are photos from the preparation, and here the information to contact if you would like to see it, and also the email and phone to Magda Garncarek for this organization. And then this taking part in this initiative was considered that I'm now in the group who is commenting or supporting by comments the authors of the new strategy for the city of Wrocław, and the deputy director of the Office of Strategy of the City Council of Wrocław has told us that somebody from Belgium asked him what Western Europe can learn from Central and Eastern Europe, and he could not answer, and I also could not answer when he told me, but after few days I find the answer that to be oriented on solving problems, not on avoiding them. So then it helps to find a solution. And I think also that in the field of politics, that Second World War or this escalation of Russian war in the Ukraine also comes from the tendency to avoiding problems, that some Western politicians preferred to have Putin than the other politician which they know what, or preferred to have one country with nuclear weapon than more countries. And I think that Ursula von der Leyen, which also goes strongly supports to Ukraine, also seems to understand, but we have also problems. So everybody knows of the Gerhard Schröder, who is now the symbol of economical corruption, but we must say that Russia has a long tradition of corrupting Europe, and also Voltaire, who is important person in European consciousness, was paid by Russian Caesar Katarina, who after Diderot and Rousseau criticized her aggressive wars. She paid Voltaire to write the text in which he has written that she is propagating tolerance and bringing peace to other countries. And I think that started some misunderstanding with Russia. And here is the slide for the presentation which high-level roundtable prepared a bit more than 1 year ago for Ursula von der Leyen, so-called European Bauhaus concept paper. And in this slide we have written that this European Bauhaus initiative must reflect on the relation between the countries of the European Union and other parts of the world. So we must remember of the colonial past, which in much extent affect also today's relations in the world, and also the relation to Russia and to Ukraine is part of that. And what I think also that it is important to make European Union open, and also if some country wants to be in European Union, you should, as far as possible, let them in immediately to other more light initiative like European Bauhaus. So we should include now Ukraine, in my opinion, and Georgia, Moldova, and do not forget also Balkans or other interesting countries. For example, in Balkan countries, we can see that they are very tired about waiting too much on the time when they can join European Union. And also the relation can be shown that the capital city, so main capital of the European Union is Brussels, but Luxembourg City, Strasbourg, and Frankfurt am Main are also like a secondary capitals, and it also reflects the relation of these old powers and former colonial metropolis. So it shows that European Union is wider and no other center. So I think that this moral engagement of Ukraine shows that they deserve for their capital, and I think that good candidate would be the city of Chernivtsi, which is also close to Romania and Bulgaria, which also went into the European Union on much worse condition than such countries as Slovakia or Poland. And it has also similarly to Strasbourg, which is the symbol of connection between different culture, because it has French and German history. Chernivtsi has Ukrainian, Romanian, Moldavian, and Austrian history from the state dependence, but from the also cultural, also Jewish and Polish. So thank you very much. And
thank you very much, Hubert. The next will be Alexandra. Well, we could see that in Poland has been done a lot of work, and you were able to offer many people in need more privacy, and it's
probably proportionally to the number of inhabitants, it is not more than Slovakia.
okay. So thank you again, and I would say that in Slovakia we say that paper partition system invented by Shigeru Ban's team is a new European Bauhaus in practice. So I am pleased that I may introduce the last speaker, which is Alexandra Jurec. Alexandra is an architect, and he is one of thousands of people forced to leave their homes. She lives now in Bratislava together with her two children, 5 and 3 years old. The main topic of her presentation is housing and opportunities for refugees. She will speak about the current situation in Ukraine, what solutions are used now, what is possible, and her view on it as an architect and as a refugee. And she will also introduce her company located in Kyiv. So, Alexandra, please.
Hello to all. My name is Alexandra, as Lubica mentioned. I'm an architect by education, and in Kyiv, Ukraine, I, with my husband, we have our architectural studio named Da Vinci Group. Now I live here in Bratislava because of war with our kids. My husband is in Ukraine, live in Ukraine, so I'm also a refugee here, and I have my own experience and experience of lots of my friends who are in such a situation. And so I will speak in my presentation about current situation in Ukraine, what we can do with internally displacement people, and what do now, my opinion about that. And first, I want a little bit introduce our company, who we are, and what we do. We are a large design organization for Ukraine. We have 7 years of experience, and we engage on complex design of facilities for various purposes, such as residential complexes, shopping and entertainment centers, office centers, multifunctional complexes, and etc. On this slide, you can see our team. It's a New Year party in Kyiv, when we still can be together and happy. So we have near 40 professionals, all in one office with different specialities, such as architects, different engineers like structural, plumbing engineers, electrical, heating and ventilation conditioning systems. Also, we have designers, 3D visualizers, and BIM specialists. As I know, here in Slovakia, it's a little bit different system, all operating separate. They have separate architects, separate structural engineers, separate engineering system. We have all together in one office, and it's this allows us to provide a truly complex design of buildings. And now I want to show some of our projects with international awards, which known. It's Futura Hub. It's shopping and entertainment complex with co-workings. Multifunctional center is located in Lviv in Ukraine. Next one, it's Aura Part. It was the first project in which we start to use BIM technologies. We work with BIM information modeling, and it's located in city Odessa in the Black Sea coast. And this one, it's in Kyiv. It's multifunctional complex. The main idea of this complex is one-stop solution that you can live, relax, have business and study and sport in one place. On this slide, you can see several aware and other objects. I will not stop on them a lot. If it's interesting, you can see it on our website. Then I want a little bit to say about system of our work. Again, I see in Slovakia that not every companies use these technologies, but it's needed as for me. And in Ukraine, we already use them. It's must have for all architectural studios already. So we work, our architects work almost in ArchiCAD with using teamwork. It's several architects can work in one file online. Everyone see all changes online. Then our all engineers work in Revit, everything in 3D. And after that, we consolidate everything in one BIM information model. We can make automatic collision check and fix all moments which we find just in project, still in project, not on construction site. And also our customers need this. We exchange our files and models with customers in special programs, and they can manage their project there. It's very useful for complicated projects with many engineering systems. And next, about what I want to say, it's our new system in Ukraine of construction industry. It's electronical system. It's our know-how that everything in construction industry is doing online in one system. And this system designed to make our construction industry transparent and free of corruption, because it's a huge problem in Ukraine, corruption in building industry. And I will a little bit explain how it works for steps. First of all, before you, when you want to build something, you have to obtain urban planning conditions and restrictions. You can do this online. You need only documents for land and electronic sign. And through the system, you can apply for them, and you will take them within 10 days. After that, you can start a project. When you do a project, the architects and other specialists, project specialists, they download this approval part of project to the CS system. All performers sign it electronically with their licenses. It's registered in the systems, all of them. And after that, the customer also approves this, that it's okay, I want to build this. After that, if it's a complicated project, it needed expertise. Experts also check the project, and after they signed everything, also in this system. After that, the developer can apply for building permit. It's the most important thing. It's automatic if everything matches. If you have all signs and all parts of project and everything signed, you will receive it automatically. In this part in Ukraine, we have large corruption already in this part. Now it's automatically and it works, and it's great. Then after you receive the building permit, you can start construction. Then after construction, you make technical inventory of buildings, and also these guys who make this technical inventory, they download everything again in the electronic system, sign, customers also sign, and again all participants, all people who take part in project, architects, builders, all sign everything that it's built correctly, like in project. After that, you have a government engineer come to the building, he check if everything ready to use. He sign again in electronic system, and that's it. You can use the building, you receive the readiness certificate, and can use this building. Everything electronically, and it's everything transparent and clear. You can manage everything in your system and see in which stage every project are. Next, closer to our main topic, it's refugees. This slide, you can see in this slide how many refugees we have in Europe. It's registered in Europe only in refugees and internally displaced. So total it's more than 10 million of Ukrainian refugees. 6.5 million it's internally displaced people in Ukraine. And so is our main problem, where will this all displaced people live? And I want to divide all these options in three parts. It's first immediately emergency housing. It's what needed immediately from first day and till time to find a temporary or permanent house. Then temporary housing, it's as for me, normal housing for a long time until the issue of permanent. And permanent housing, it's opportunity to return to your home or to find a new one. So immediately emergency housing, it's the most difficult part because this housing is needed immediately and for the largest number of people. So which solutions we have in Ukraine and which we see? It's first of all, we have to use already ready-to-live housing that we have without any temporary decisions. First of all, it's people in such situation try to go to their relative and friends in safe places. In this part of people, it's nothing needed to do, but they will need a temporary housing or permanent in the middle perspective. Then one great options, it's individual shelter. It works. It's when people all over the world settled refugees in their homes. There are a lot of online resources which created by volunteers and state also and charity organizations, and people can make a description of their house, which can they offer to refugees, and refugees in these resources can find what they need in all over the world in every country they want. And so what we can do to more people use this, and we need less temporary decisions for refugees at the moment in immediately emergency housing. First of all, we can motivate all people to empathy through social advertising, and also which very important, as I think, is to inform refugees, because all of refugees are scared of these options. They don't know about these options. They don't know how to use electronic devices, maybe how to where to find these resources. And maybe volunteers who meet people on borders have to explain that you have so much opportunities. You can go in every country you want, just look at this resource, and you can find solution. But here I have great examples of lucky cases as example. And people will be more motivated to find for them a normal decision, not a temporary one. In some refugee centers. The next preferred solution for immediate housing is state sanatorium, hostels, and children camps or recreation centers, which are already prepared to live, and they can be used immediately. And so, what can we do to hurry up this process, maybe? And it's more for to be prepared for next crises. We can prepare and regularly update a list of some similar objects with their capabilities and season schedules. And then when the crisis starts, we will know where it's possible to settle some refugees. And the next thing that we can do is to prepare a clear algorithm for these buildings, for management of these buildings, how to act in a critical situation. that they will be prepared for such situation if they will be in future. And the next solution, as I think, it's a private hostels also and recreation centers in resort areas in the off-season. It's like my own example, my own experience. I stayed first time in February and March in Liptovsky Mikulash. It's a recreation area with mountains. I was there for vacation 2 years ago, so I go there to one guy which I know. And I see that all nearby hotels and a lot of houses, they were empty or closed. I understand that it's business and any businessman don't want to take refuge to their home, but it can work in Ukraine, of course, and it can be some state program for motivation this business. Maybe it can be insurance of their property. It can be something with taxes, some compensation, so tax holidays, or something with a win-win solution. The state will win in that they settle refugees, and business will win that they have some money in off-season when they closed. Maybe something, think about this. And the next part of immediate emergency housing, it's of course that we see in presentation before me. It's social infrastructure facilities, schools and sports centers, public spaces, which we can use temporarily for people for refugees. But it's really must be temporarily. It's as an example, it's urban camp in Lviv. This also used here is a paper partition system, and it's a great example because it's located on main train station in Lviv, and almost all refugees who go from war, they go through Lviv and through this camp. Maybe when they change trains, they can stay in this camp. And as examples, also in Wrocław that we see this refugee station, and in Poland also we see this in previous presentation. The next decision that we have, it's tents and or modular plastic houses. As for me, it's not a temporary housing, it's just infrastructure in some places where, in some crowded places like border. When the crisis starts, I stay on border 24 hours. I have car, and so it was okay. My kids sleep in car, but a lot of people, they stay on the street in winter without anything. And these solutions, as for me, can be used as infrastructure for such places, some check-in points or borders or something similar. The next very popular, I don't know why, decision. I don't like this decision. It's a temporary housing, which are really not temporary. In Ukraine, we have several such modular container villages, which built for 6 months. But really it stays till now, and people live there from 2014 when the war started till now, and this is a problem. It's new ghetto, it's not normal housing, and I think that such temporary housing it's have not to be very comfortable, so people have to be motivated to find other solutions. These containers, when people come to these containers, they use two, and they think that it's okay, it's free for me, I will sit there and wait when someone come and help me and give me apartment, and they stay there for 10 years, and it's not okay. And also I think that we have now better solutions to not make this ghetto, to make some modular houses. I will show them after. Not to make these temporary villages, which are really not temporary. Then to temporary housing, which can be used for long term. First, we have to use again everything that we have. In Ukraine, we have a lot of old buildings which can be reconstructed, and in several months they will be ready to use and for housing, and not only temporary, and some of these objects can be used as a permanent housing, and we have to do this. And so some examples from Ukraine. First, it's Kohati in Ivano-Frankivsk. Ivano-Frankivsk, it's a big city in the west of Ukraine, and a lot of refugees, internally displaced people, come there first. There was nowhere to live. You can find anything where to live. And there was some old building, and people reconstructed it by themselves. A lot of people without work stay in Ivano-Frankivsk. They come to this location and start to work. Then there was some volunteers, charity foundations, everyone helped, and it's already settled building now for lots of people. Then the next, it's a project of reconstruction. It's in Kamenets-Podilsky. We have really lots of such buildings that can be reconstructed, not to build a modular house, to reconstruct what we have. It will not be destroyed, but we have to do something with it. It's a problem for cities, and we can solve this problem, and to solve the problem with refugees too. Then it's a really huge problem in Ukraine for big cities. It's unfinished buildings. It's new residential complexes which are not finished. People buy their apartments, but developers don't finish these buildings, and they stay in several big cities like this. They are unsettled. They stay like this. I understand that it's a very complicated problem. Lawyers must work on it, but I think it's a really preferred solution which will solve two huge problems. The state maybe can finish these buildings, and people who have apartments in this building will have to settle refugees for several years maybe, and after these several years they will have already finished apartments and not unfinished for 10 years more. So I think it's also a win-win solution which can be made in such crises. Then this decision, which I like, it's modular houses. It's something like these containers. It's prefabricated modules from which we can make such buildings. They with living models and with public spaces. It's some examples of our Ukrainian architectural studios. It can be built quickly also, like for containers we need time for manufacturing too, and for these prefabricated models we need time too, but here, yes, it's a little bit expensive, but it can be used after crisis. It can be permanent living, it can be social housing, it also can be relocated, but it's not ghetto. It's a really possible solution to do this. Also, from these models, first they offer, these guys, architects they offer to make something like hostels or co-living. And after crisis, when the count of refugees will be less, we can easily moderate these blocks to normal apartments. And it can be permanent living for another people. The last example is Nezlamni Matusi. It's already built in 3 months. It's a hub for pregnant women and women with small kids. It's really built it in 3 months with including project and everything. It's also modular system, and they're settled a lot of people now. Then it's maybe local opportunity, but I heard on Climate Care Academy that here in Slovakia is also such apartments. In Ukraine for long years, the best investment was real estate. To buy apartment in when starts construction, and after 1-2 years when it will be built, you will have apartment with different price in several times. So in Ukraine we have some statistics that it's near 10-20% of such apartments all of real estate market. And so it's near 60,000 of apartments, and that can settled near 180,000 of people. But again, so we have to motivate somehow these people to settle their refugees. It's again can be some state program with maybe 3% credit for repairing. Its apartments always stay without decoration, without repair. So these people need the money to repair the flat before they settle some refugees. So maybe it can be again some program, state program for these people who have these flats, and again for refugees with compensation of part of rent or maybe rent of these apartments. But it's already decisions that really unused square meters of ready house in which increases we have to use somehow, and we have to think about that how to use this. On this map, it's a number of flats for these 4 years, which was already. And the last step, it's permanent housing. It's we have to think about this. Again, now, not only for temporary houses, but about permanent housing too. It must be everything parallel, all opportunities can be used, and permanent housing have to start building now. Because if we don't do this, it will be a new problem in the nearest future. If we will use only temporary housing, it's a problem which will be in several months again. And there are lots of opportunities of quickly built of normal houses. It can be sandwich panels or SIP panels, LHB panels, wooden frame, metal frame, everything of this. You can see how many times we need to construct such building. So maybe we have to start from urban strategy, in which places we can locate it permanent villages, permanent regions with permanent housing, not only think about temporary. It must be parallel process. And of course, purchase of finishing housing from developers. It's not a very big counts in Ukraine, and it's needed to do by state, of course. And construction of new housing, it's item for separate big presentation. I will not stop on it, but a lot of Ukrainian architecture students work in it. We do, and it's an interesting item, but not for today's topic. And so the main thing about which I want to say is that there is nothing more permanent than temporary. And a lot of temporary solutions, it's problems postponed until later. Therefore, we should use everything that already exists and repair everything that can be used not only at the time of crisis, but also and after it. And about the settlements of migrants, such as these container houses, maybe we have to think about doing these centers permanent. We have different crises. As I see, climate crises will be in nearest future, and it's again a lot of refugees and migrants. Maybe they must be permanent with all staff, but different refugees, to think about that. And thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. I think we've got a lot of inspiration and ideas from the presentation, and it's really great that you could join us in this academy. So this is it.
Thank
We
you
are
too.
at the end of 3 days academy, and I think it was quite interesting, exhausting for all of us who stayed here for 3 days. And well, I hope we shall find a lot of new inspiration. I believe all of you and all of us, we can see that the situation and the war in Ukraine has shown us how weak the system is, that we are not prepared for people in need. We are not prepared for migrants, and it's not so easy to find the best solution. And maybe we could answer the last question. Maybe the last question, maybe not. Okay. So, how were the paper pipes produced? Where? In Slovakia or in Poland? So let's say, maybe Hubert.
So I think that it is also maybe I go to. So I think that it is the same in Slovakia. In Poland, they were produced by the international firms which have the factory. They produce paper tubes, for example, for putting big rolls of paper or big rolls of fabric, and they are. So I do not know exactly the technology, but they are from tiny pipers glued together somehow round, and it is so that in most of the countries it is produced glued by chemical glues. And because of this problem with fire authorities, because in Poland we have this firemen controls the certificate of curtains, but then now we started the test for the tubes. And in Sweden and Finland, when there are higher ecological standards, they are gluing these paper tubes not with chemical glues, but with special kind of glass. And this special kind of glass is less burning than these chemical glues. So we also took from Sweden for the test the tubes which they produced there, and they passed the fire test. But in fact, they were. It was a bit other kind of tubes, and then we did not went finally to the test of the tubes of the parameters of our ones. And by the way, I will say that because of this, we did not implement it after home in the most needed places where there is large amounts of people. We then implemented there only in places when in one room there is less than 50 people, because then fire rules are less strict in such places.
Thank you very much, Hubert. And I would like to say, that I wanted to just introduce Dana Kleinert, who is a designer. She unfortunately just left our session, and she helped a lot also in Slovakia, because she found and delivered the fabrics, which was quite a big problem. And with paper tubes, we had to order the paper tubes from Czech Republic because we couldn't find it in Slovakia. And there is sitting some modest and silent guy. He is a vice dean of Faculty of Architecture and Design, and he helped me a lot because he organized students from Faculty of Architecture to help to build our paper partition system here in Bratislava and Botova. And well, Peter, thank you very much. And I would say that without you, I wouldn't be able to drill the holes and to make all alone. So thank you again. And well, what to say at the end? You are welcome to have some drink, maybe a glass of wine or water. And thank you very much that you join us. And Hubert has some information.
It was a bit opposite in Slovakia, because in Slovakia you have easily get donated fabric from IKEA, and have to pay for tubes. And in Poland, we have had the tubes for Poland, and all the tubes for Poland and Ukraine were donated from Polish factory of International Corex firm, and the fabric we have to buy.
You had to
And tubes tubes were donated by this firm. And what is also interesting, that they have in their managing, they have written that it was because in their production they have like 20% rubbish from their production, so they have in their booking system they have written those what they donated as rubbish to do not have problems within their international corporation. And they said that when number grows they could not do, but in the numbers we had they were able to do it.
Thank you very much, Hubert. So if you still have some question or some ideas, we have now opportunity to speak about. Thank you very much.
And I have question to Ola, to her presentation. Sorry for taking so much. So is Ola still with us? So I have Alexandra. Sorry, I have the question to you. That of those examples you have shown were only this Kohaty and this for pregnant mothers were built, or some more also, or built or implemented, like adapted.
I think it's really lots of examples in Ukraine. A lot of volunteers work on it, and people work on it. I can't show everything, but in every region we have lots of this building for a construct. It's not okay for me that our government don't do this. For now, it's doing just by volunteers and charity organizations almost. Maybe it's needed more time for this. It's a lot of other questions for with government, but it's a lot of such objects are already done. And people live there.